Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Welcome. Today is not Steve, it's Becky.
Steve, your voice has changed.
I know, and it is New Year's Eve, and you are listening to Dr. Jill Hubbard, Dr. Alice Benton, and Becky Brown, and we're so glad you are. It is the last day of 2021. Can you believe it?
Here we are, Alice. We're always here at the end of the year together.
Are you really?
Yes, we are. Several years. We've been closing it out.
That's awesome. And how did it go for you this year, you guys?
Oh, well,
there was a big break in, it was that bad.
We had some real high highs, but some real low lows too.
Okay, That's honest. You know, this is a tough day for so many people because they're thinking, oh, I've got to make these goals and these resolutions for the next year. And,
that's what January's for.
Exactly.
Right, if you can put it off, right? That's one of the goals, to no longer put things off.
Right. No more procrastination. You know, just recently, I had a Life Recovery Today guest. In case you didn't know that we had this TV show called Life Recovery Today, where Steve interviews, and so do I, people who are in recovery, leading recovery groups, doing all kinds of amazing work in the field. And our most recent guest was Corey Busk, who talked about how to get through the holidays when you are new in your recovery. But I also think it's those tips, which you can get at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, are good for even if you're not struggling to stay sober, but just literally to make it through the holidays. Because a lot of times our moods are affected. We might be struggling with some mental health challenges, I wonder, do you guys hear about that kind of thing going on, whether it's seasonal affective disorder? What are some of the things that you hear at this time of year for folks?
Certainly loss. So many of the people with whom I have been speaking are facing the grieving of the death of a loved one in this past year, the anniversary of a loss coming up. And it is weighing heavily on people's minds and hearts, and losses of various kinds. Perhaps it's financial loss or the loss of a job over the past year. The loss of a pet can be devastating.
We had that in our extended family, and it was huge. So a lot of corporate grieving and, remembering. And pets give us love, and they fill in the gap when there are other losses, right? Sometimes we have a pet that fills in the gap. So then when we lose that pet, it's not just a pet. It's like we're also grieving the original loss.
Right.
So it does make it doubly hard. But I think that theme of loss or life having changed, not being what it was used to, as people go through different stages and families change, either through losing people or kids growing up, there's disappointment there. And something about trying to hold on to, an elusive ideal, I think, that people often struggle with around the holidays.
Do you know, that is such a good point. And I think as believers, we have to encourage each other to really focus on what God has done and will do for each and every one of us. And I think a lot of times when we get overwhelmed, whether it's by grief or disappointment of expectations not being met or loss, we can focus on the fact that God is with us always, that He loves us, that He has a plan for our lives. And I have found in recent days when people are talking about some of the struggles in their life, they're facing some seemingly insurmountable challenges. We know that God is love for us and will provide the strength and the peace that we need for each and every day, whether it is the last day of 2021 or tomorrow, the very first day. Well, we're going to be right back after the break, and we're going to answer your calls.
We have been estranged off and on for 10 years or more, and he has a lot of grievances and anger and bitterness and hatred toward me.
We've been having little disagreements here and there about grandmom's input.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Fearless Parenting, Doing Life with Your Adult Children. It's an online workshop we're holding on Saturday, January 29th. Jim Burns, longtime friend and colleague, he's president of Homework, and he's going to join me.
You invested 2 decades of your life with your children, and you've got to figure out how do you reparent and reinvent the relationship. It's not easy, but it's possible, and it can be better than ever.
With insightful teaching and the guidance of a credentialed New Life counselor, this one-day online workshop will provide practical advice and hopeful encouragement for navigating the parent-adult-child relationship. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We're so glad you joined us on this, the last day of 2021. It's also the last day that you can join in the Club New Life Matching Gift Challenge. We would love for you to be part of our Club New Life family, and you'll get a gift for doing that. But everyone that joins Club New Life, their giving will be matched by this matching gift, which, it's kind of like 2 for 1. And we want you to participate in that. We'd love for you to join Club New Life and become part of the family. But right now, we're going to talk to Alex, who is calling us from Flint, Michigan. And Alex I'm trying to get it, Terry. Go ahead. There you go. Hi, Alex. Thank you for calling.
Hi.
How can we help you today?
Well, thank you for being there. I'll try to be to the point and as brief as I possibly can with kind of what happened. My wife has been really struggling with some of the issues that she's dealing with the kids. Her kids are older. Her daughters are kind of slowly leaving the nest. One just got engaged and is going to be married. The wedding date hasn't been picked or anything like that yet, but the other one is actively in college, very productive. Both of them are very productive, but they're going about their lives. They're not spending as much time at home. They're spending more time with their boyfriends rather than staying at home. We hold a pretty strict household. We got rules, and we tell the girls, hey, if boyfriend comes over, boyfriend sleeps on the couch, you sleep in your bedroom, and that's the way it is, right? In connection with that, the girls tend to say, well, I'm going to go over to boyfriend's house, right? So I won't go into a lot of detail about that, but during the Christmas time, there was promises that were made that, hey, we're going to spend Christmas Eve at boyfriend's house, and then we're going to come back and spend Christmas Eve and Christmas night here with Mom. Well, those plans did not come to fruition. And my wife had a major meltdown Christmas Day, just kind of went and shut herself in the bedroom and just, bawled her eyes out. And, then it kind of carried over into the next day with some other issues that got brought up. And so it's just been kind of an emotional roller coaster for her over the last year. When she doesn't get her way with the girls, she just really just starts getting very angry, emotionally lashing out. And in some respects, there's other issues where we tend to try to avoid her when she's given disappointing news, because instead of saying, okay, I'm going to accept this and we're going to work together as a family and move on, no, it's a major meltdown. It's everybody is, a very, very bad person, right?
All right,
So
Alex.
the purpose of my call today is to hear a sum up of how you feel about what you think about the situation, but also get a recommendation for counseling in my area.
Okay. Well, and Alex, it sounds like the girls are not your children? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
My wife has been married 2 times, and I've been married. This will be my second marriage. So
Okay.
these are, children. Their father passed away, and I came into the picture. And
Okay. How long have you been in the
with them
picture?
For about the last 10 years.
Okay, last 10 years. And how old are the girls?
One is 18, and one is 22. The one that's in college.
The 22-year-old's in college, and the 18-year-old is engaged?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, fairly young. I mean, they're still at the young adult, but on the cusp of launching.
Yes.
Which is, and they have boyfriends and being engaged. The 18-year-old is kind of, launching forward. It sounds like perhaps, I mean, I understand mom's disappointment in these barely adult daughters not wanting to be around for Christmas. Christmas is a lot of effort for us moms, and if you throw a little, of our expectations in there, we want our kids home, and we want to hold on to capturing the Christmases that we have wanted, maybe throughout their lives. And also the idea of that it's hard for a mom to get to that point where it's like, okay, my kids are going to be leaving and things are going to be different. It seems like I know even for myself at times and for other moms that we're not quite ready. We want to savor our kids, and our kids being a part of the nest. So it sounds like your wife has a really hard time with change, and because of her reactivity, it doesn't sound like the girls handle it well either, meaning they're like, okay, I want to get away from her. So instead of coming to mom and saying, Mom, look, I'm at a different stage now of my life, and I want to do things a little different. Let's negotiate this and, come up with a plan that works for everyone. That would be
right.
A mature thing to do. But again, they're the kids, right? Your wife could
Can
also
I interject for a brief moment?
Sure, sorry.
Yeah.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
I appreciate everything you're saying, and I agree with it. But I would like to say this: there are 2 older siblings that have moved on and have gotten married. So I was kind of thinking. I mentioned to my wife the other day. I said, "Listen," I said, "Are you sure you're ready to experience this empty nest type of situation again?" And she said, "Oh yes. My 2 other kids have been since married and moved on and moved out, right?" So I kind of thought, well, yeah, she seems like she's ready to deal with it. She went through it before, and I'm not saying that you're trying to sum it up to that's what it is. I'm listening very carefully to what you're saying, but I still think regardless, through all the stages of the children's lives, whether young or whether old or young, this still could be a reoccurring type of psychological thing, right? So I'm not saying you're saying that's what it is, but I just wanted to make you aware.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That does help to give me a fuller picture. So you're giving us the example of what's happening now, but this is just an example. This is not just a stage-related grief that she's going through. It's been at every turn of their lives when things don't go mom's way.
And it might be an attachment style. The word vacillator comes to my mind, especially if your wife grew up in a chaotic home and has had a lot of loss and pain in her life. It is probably difficult for her to maintain emotional stability, and she moves into everybody's all bad or all good when she's disappointed with them, and she withdraws. Does that seem to fit for her?
Yes. Yes, and we as a family are wanting the appropriate counseling because what we've been done, I even reached out to my pastor recently and I said, listen, I'm calling you to get your advice and maybe get a link to some professional counseling because I've been doing some things wrong. I've been shutting down and I've been actually lying to her to avoid a major mental breakdown, right? And the Lord convicted me about that and said, stop that. I don't want you dealing with her like that. And I want you to pull the kids together. And I want you guys to group together and help her. Stop shutting down when she's going to have a major meltdown. Help her get through this. So that's where I'm at right now.
Right. That's a really good, really good realization, because it only makes it worse. Right. Then her suspicions are realized.
And the clarification that you're making, Alex, is so true. You know, when you have somebody who is highly reactive, the last thing you want to do is create the reaction. The hard part is that if you tiptoe around or don't, tell the truth, then eventually that will come out, and then there's a bigger reaction. Right. I'm not sure, Alice, what are you going to say? Because
well, Alex,
you look like you're ready to say something.
She's ready.
I am. Alex, first of all, you're in good company, because I am a fellow avoider and liar as well, and God's also convicting me and moving me through it. And I think that's your way into your wife's heart, by admitting to her, I have not been handling things well, and I want to confess that I've been avoiding, I've been lying, and I'm getting help for it. I'm going to see a therapist, and I want to invite you to come with me so that I can hear how my behavior has been affecting you, and our family has been in pain lately. So we certainly experienced it over Christmas. I want to learn how to better help you in your pain. That is a very inviting way to bring a person into therapy, at least to make the request. And whether or not she'll join you, you start your work. And as you make your improvements, it will be more attractive to her to come to therapy. And whether or not you see a therapist who specializes in attachment styles, which I think is part of what your wife is struggling with, and I'm sure there's trauma in her past as well, and we'll be able to connect you with a therapist who is well equipped to handle these different situations. And I want to juxtapose that invitation with what often happens. You're reactive, you're shutting yourself up, you're hard to deal with, you need therapy. Well, that's not attractive at all. But start with your humility, and I'm imagining that you'll start to see breakthrough with her when you do that.
So, Alex, what I want to invite you to is the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop, where you had mentioned you had asked your wife if she was ready for the empty nest syndrome or the empty nest experience, not empty nest syndrome, but that you guys could come together and work on this relationship together, as opposed to piece and parcel of the different things that are going on in your relationship. We're going to send you a copy of How We Love, and that will explain a little bit more of what Alice is talking about. Jill or Alice, you have anything else that you want to offer Alex at this point?
Well, Alex, I like the idea of, trying to lean into your wife instead of running away and hiding. And as you name your own vulnerability, I think it may give you room to say, sweetheart, I realize you're really hurting and you get disappointed. And to name the things that maybe in a gentle way she's struggling with, that also would be inviting, because you see her. It's not just, oh, we can't stand this behavior, let's get away from it. No, you see where it's coming from. Instead of the explosion, you're seeing what ignites it.
I love that. All right. Thank you so much for calling, Alex. We're going to talk with Anita, who is calling us from Kansas City, Missouri, listens on the podcast. You can too. Hi, Anita. How can we help you today?
Hi, ladies. Thank you for having me on the show. Especially around the holiday right now, I feel like I tend to think a lot about like my life, like in general, and where I am at. And I've been feeling like it has been a little bit of a struggle for me to make friendships or substantial friendships. And I went through a breakup, I think it's going to be 2 years ago. And I had to then leave the church because it was within a church. And so I joined a new church now. It's been like a year. And I've been serving in like the worship ministry. And then also it's been a little bit of a struggle to kind of like create friendships or connections. And I also, aspire to kind of like be dating again, but it's been hard again for me to meet, new people. And even in my career as well, I have been feeling like it's a little bit of hard for me to progress to the next level. And as I was thinking of like going back to school, and it's also like hard for me to decide like, okay, what do I really want to do? So I feel sometimes that I'm very confused on like next steps or even what is going on or how to really unlock what I don't even know that is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anita, we're going to go to a break in a minute. Do you have a question that you want us to be thinking about as we go to break?
Really, it's like, how do I figure out what could actually help me to propel myself to be in a better place in general in my life?
That's a great question, and we'll be pondering it on the break. But I'm glad you called, and it's a good question for all of us to ask, right? And we appreciate you taking that risk and reaching out. And we'll be right back with some options for you to think about.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We would love to hear from you. I just listened to that lead in from Terry, and we're always here for you. So call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE for any help. Right now we're talking to Anita, who's asking a really great question. And I want to hear from Alice and Jill. What do you have for Anita today?
Anita, do you have a negative belief about yourself that may get in the way of some of these things you wish to pursue?
I think that I'm a little scared. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know where and why, but I just have been going through like a lot in my family and also circumstances. I feel like it's a little tough for some reason for me to kind of just like make it to what I really want, and it's like I don't know if that's the right choice for me. Am I making the right choice? I don't want to waste my time and not really have my purpose here on earth like being fulfilled. Like I don't want to miss what God has for me. So that's why I tend to
Can I just
not make the decision.
Right. Can I just say though, Anita, you talk about not being able to initiate, and I hear that in these kind of big things and you wanting to do, kind of God's best for you. that's difficult. While at the same time, when a difficult situation presented itself, you actually did initiate. You initiated after the breakup, which is a really hard thing. You left your church and chose a new church and even got involved in the new church. And I just wanted to make you aware that you do have it in you.
Good point, Jill. Good point.
To do that when you need to do it. I think sometimes when it's not an immediate need, it's harder because we can kind of get perfectionistic. So instead of making a decision that will then lead us to a next decision, we get perfectionistic. And it's like, what's the ultimate goal for my life versus what's, as Steve says, the next right thing to do that may then give me more information.
Anita, I also hear that your fear can paralyze you. So that you avoid taking another step sometimes, even though you are capable of risk, because you don't want to fail. And it's as if a failure in one area, you might entirely miss out on God's purpose for your life. Can you think of a trauma or a hurt that you have been through that was devastating for you? And that might influence the way that you think and feel your fear today.
I think that I have lost my mom, and it was, I think, 2.5 years ago, and I was not able to attend, the funeral, and I had to I didn't know how to process the loss, and I have a sister that actually is close to me that she became a little depressive about it, and I was trying to take care of her at the same time. And my mom passed was 2 months after the breakup because it was very sudden, and it was really the other party that didn't want to continue the relationship anymore. And I also felt like that also distracted me from the grief from my mom at some point. So like navigating all of that, and then school, trying to finish. I was in my senior year for school. I always thought that I was very strong, that I was able to make all those decisions and then just wing my way through life. But then at some point I started feeling like I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do, and I felt like...
So, Anita,
of course,
Anita, it makes so much sense that because of that accumulation in a short period of time, you can no longer trust your judgment, and you perhaps have lost access to some of that courage that you previously had. And so part of the answer to figuring out these different areas of your life will be intentionally entering into the grieving process with a therapist and looking at your guilt and how you might feel at fault for what you missed out with your mother, for your sister's depression, the loss of that romantic relationship. And it's through that process of lamenting and talking through it, and then looking at the choices you're facing now in life, being bolstered by the wise counsel of a therapist that will help you grieve and then move beyond the grief and start taking the risks to pursue God's purpose.
And Anita, you said it. You said you were overwhelmed. Of course you were overwhelmed. There were so many things that were happening at you, literally at the same time. And so you're not determined or, kind of defeated at that moment. You're never going to be able to have that free spirit again. It's going to require some work and some healing, like Alice has just suggested. And we're going to send you a copy of the Grief Recovery Workbook, and I think that'll be a good next step. I would also encourage you to attend our Emotional Freedom online workshop. That could be a very good next step for you as you kind of sort these things out. You have some great insight. You were able to identify all the things that kind of led up to this moment. And that's a huge benefit to being aware of where the next step will be. And I appreciate you calling, Anita, and would love to hear back from you after, you do some work on this, because I know that there is a great hope and a future of healing in front of you. I'm encouraged, because so many times the challenge is we're overwhelmed and then we don't have the insight, or we don't even understand where that feeling came from. But you've got a good start, and I think that these things will help you as you continue on this path forward. We'll be right back.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Washington, D.C., January 7th through the 9th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the New Life member thank you gift of the New Life Journal, 100 Days of Peace, 7 Ways to Choose Healing, Growth Has No Boundaries, a Restoration Bible, and a New Life grocery tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits, like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We're so glad you're here on this last day of 2021. And we're so grateful for Dr. Jill Hubbard and Dr. Alice Benton and their wisdom that they are sharing with the callers today. I'm wondering if Larry Sonnenberg's in the studio with you guys.
Nope. Haven't seen him.
Okay. Well,
he may be wandering in here shortly, but
then I will carry on, and we're going to go to our next caller, Yvonne, who is calling us from Silver Springs, Maryland, listens on Sirius XM. Hi, Yvonne. How can we help you today?
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I'm calling because I need some help with regard to trying to have a better relationship with an adult daughter. It seems that whenever we sit down to talk, it ends up in a really bad argument, and she will leave the house and go with one of her aunts. And so we don't communicate. We're not close. And it makes me feel bad because I will take responsibility for some of the issues and problems that we're having right now, but I really would like to do what I can do to help heal our relationship.
Yvonne, does she live with you, but when these arguments occur, she goes and stays at her aunt's house for more than a day?
She used to live with me, but I ended up selling my house because it was overwhelming for me to try and take care of it, and I wasn't getting the support that I needed from her to help me with it. So I decided that I was going to just scale down and get a smaller place, and I invited her to come and stay with me, but she refused to get rid of a lot of material things that she had. She said she couldn't afford to go on her own. I offered to help her, and I asked her to let me see what kind of bills you have, and perhaps I can help you to pay the bills, but she said she didn't think she should have to show me anything. So I moved forward, and I moved out, and she had to move because I got a sale for the house. And from that point on, it's like she's been angry and just really isn't speaking to me that much.
And
so it leaves me alone
Tell us two things. One of her biggest complaints about you in growing up with you, and one of the things that impairs her from being a self-sufficient adult.
She is the type of person who loves to shop and buy and do the things she wants to do with her money. And I'm just thinking that she hasn't been responsible, and that's why it's like that. Her biggest complaint, as far as I'm concerned, is that what you asked?
Right, and from her childhood.
From her childhood. She told a friend of mine that when she was a teenager, something happened, and that turned her sour against me, but I don't know what exactly it is. And granted, I was not always there for her when she was younger. I didn't raise her until she was about 8. She was raised by my mother, her grandmother. And so at the time, I was going through changes and problems myself, and I really wasn't the best mother that I could have been. But at that time, I was doing the best that I could.
So were you absent from her life, or
I was in her life.
You were in her life.
but
You just weren't the
not-
one raising her.
Right.
And then how old was she when you took over raising her? Or when you
She
came
was
back
about
in?
8 years old.
When you came
about
back
8.
in.
So we're talking about
Mhm.
how old is she now, Yvonne? Because I think right now what you need is some next steps to kind of resolve this issue that.
She's 54. Okay.
So see, that's a whole different, and we would want for her to do her own healing work and invite you into that process. But you guys, what would you suggest to Yvonne to maybe, reach out, or it sounds like she's got a good handle on boundaries, but, any insight for her?
Well, Yvonne, you probably know that boundaries work best when they're accompanied by a whole lot of grace and humility. And your daughter probably has some very old pain because you haven't been consistently, or you weren't consistently present for her when you most needed her. And even though it sounds like you've gained a lot of stability in your own life at this point and you are present for her, if you haven't done enough reconciliation work on your part to address the pain you caused her and your absence in her life, she may be carrying and holding on to that bitterness against you still.
Well, and the shopping can be, isn't always, but can be indicative of replacing the loss, right? You get emotional, good feelings by shopping, and a lot of times it's to fill up all of the losses and the disappointments. And also to be at 54 years old and not to be able to be on her own. There's a lot going on with your daughter. And I think I think to come at it from a place, and Alice, I think maybe you said this, of having some humility about your part in her life and realizing some of your mistakes and letting her know, I want to have a better relationship with you and I want to hear from you. And then, Yvonne, you have to be prepared that regardless of her perspective, regardless of the facts, to be able to be willing to listen to her and realize, okay, this is how she sees it. And when she's sharing it, it's not a time to correct her and tell her your version of it. It's just a time to say, wow, okay, well, if that's how it felt to you, if that's how it was for you, I can see why you get so upset with me. I can see why you're hurt or you're mad. And so to really hear her.
Actually,
go ahead.
I have spoken to her just almost exactly the way you're speaking to me. And I apologized, and I said to her, I know that I wasn't the best mother. I apologize. I can't change the past, but I would like to help us get back on track so that we can have a better relationship now and in the future. And she said, okay, but she still stays away. And now that she's moved into her place, and I'm really proud because she said that she couldn't afford to move on her own, but she has moved on her own. She has a beautiful apartment, and she seems to be doing well.
Well, good.
Good job,
Good.
Yvonne.
So, yeah.
So Yvonne, you addressed one layer of it, which is fantastic that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to now take it deeper. I want you to be able to move from I wasn't the best mom to I wasn't there for you for 8 years. And then even after that, there were times that I added to your pain in very significant ways. And here are a couple of the examples. Are you willing to talk about this with me and to tell me some of your stories, whether it's just the two of us or whether we go in with a therapist so I can be a better listener to you in a safe place? I want to hear about how it's been to have me as a mom.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Yvonne.
More specifically.
I think we're going to send you a copy to Take Your Life Back. I also want to encourage you to do that grieving work because I know that you're sad about the present state of your relationship with her. It doesn't have to be this way forever. I love that you invited her into a better future. And, you've already seen that she's able to get a beautiful apartment and stand on her own 2 feet. So that's a good start. But I think grieving the loss is going to be also a part of that healing process. And we're so glad you called.
And can I just add one more thing? And sometimes
Yes,
when
you
you
may.
feel like you've approached it and you've really been open and you've let them share, and yet there still seems to be problems, I think we have to come back and ask, what else do you need from me? Right?
That's a great question.
Because if
Yes.
it doesn't feel resolved, then what else are you needing? And some of it is just the road back to trusting.
And the reason why that's such a great question, Jill, is because we can formulate what we think they may need, and we may be completely off the mark. And so, what else
Well, and
do
it
you
stops
need from me?
them to think about it because sometimes they don't know. But when something
Exactly.
is relenting, it just keeps coming back around. It's like, okay, what else do you need? What are you needing? Because they have to focus and go, yeah, what am I needing? Right? What am I wanting?
Agreed. Such a great question. And Yvonne, you've helped a lot of people today because of your willingness to ask that question. And we're so glad you called. We're going to come back for our final segment. We got a caller waiting for us and we want to answer that call. And we're just so glad that you joined us today. And if there's still time to give, it is the last day of the old year. It's going to be a new year. But if you'd like to text to give, you can text the letters NLM, like New Life Ministries, to 28950, 28950. So text NLM 28950. And for your gift of any amount, we'll send you a copy of 100 Days of Freedom from Depression. It's a beautiful journal or devotional. It's got some journaling that you can do in it, but it's got Bible verses, quotes, and a great reading for all the things that we might need in this new year.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Southern California February 11th to the 13th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We're so glad you joined us. And I do believe Larry Sonnenberg
Larry
has
has
joined us.
wandered in.
Hey, I'm sorry,
Found
Becky,
him wandering in the halls, and we just hooked him in.
I was running the other way.
I'm so glad you did. Larry, what do you have for us today?
Well, we have a testimony, and I just, like you've been saying, last day of the year. And if you can't give this year, give next year. But we'd love
he's not going to stop asking because the calendar changes.
That's right. 1st of January, I'm all over it.
It's a new campaign then. Start strong.
Let's hear what Charles has to say.
A couple weeks ago, I called you guys. I struggled with suicidal thoughts. I just wanted to say to whoever's listening that you guys saved my life. I was just in a really bad place that day, and talking to you guys really helped me out. I've got a great wife who's very supportive. I listen to you guys every day. Something about your program touches me every day. No matter what it's about, it does. And I just want people out there to know that calling in does help. Talking to somebody that can relate to what you're dealing with helps. I don't normally give to radio stations because I don't necessarily believe that everything goes towards what they say it does, but I do want to become a New Life member and donate to you guys because you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Wow.
Well, I am so grateful for that. Anybody who is a supporter, I mean, this is your phone call, not just ours.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, is that ever pretty wonderful to hear.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's pretty special. I want to get off the mic here so you guys can take another call, but just a couple things quickly. Thank you, everybody who's given in 2021. It's been a really good year for New Life. It's been a good year because we are reaching more people, helping more people. God's continuing to do work through this ministry. So thank you. And there was a second point, and it's already gone. But
okay.
I loved what Chuck said. We're here. All you have to do is reach out, and we're here for you.
What a better reason to give than saving somebody's life, huh?
Right.
That's amazing. Right. So thank you, everybody. Right. And if you can make another gift or join Club New Life, greatly appreciate it. So
that's awesome.
See you next year.
Yeah, that's right. And you can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to join, or you can go online at newlife.com.
Okay.
And now we're going to talk to our last caller of the year of 2021, Jessica. Drum roll. You listen to us on Sirius XM. We're so glad you called. How can we help you today?
Hi, thank you. Yes, I have a relationship question. So a little over a year and a half ago, I had broken my leg and gone to stay with my mother, which is in the same neighborhood as my sister. And my boyfriend came to visit, and my sister came around. She had never met him. He was just brand new. And she came in and crossed her arms and stared at him like, "What are you doing here?" until he got up and left. So that was over almost a year and a half ago. And so I have recently moved back to the area where my mother is and my family. And so at Thanksgiving was going to be at her house with my family, and he didn't want to go. And so I understood, and I didn't go either. But then when Christmas came around, the same thing again happened. So I said, "Could you please just give her a chance?" I said, that wasn't really directed at you. And I did have a talk with my sister. We had walked around the block about a week after it happened, the summer before last. And I told her how it made him feel. And she said, "Well, it wasn't directed at him at all. It was just, I was just being protected of you, and I didn't know who he was." So she's kind of stubborn and he's stubborn, but it's breaking my heart that I really don't know how to address it. I talked to him on Christmas Day, he said, well, we'll discuss it. And then it kept getting near time. And I'm like, well, we go. Or I said, well, what about just driving separately? And if you feel uncomfortable, you can leave early and I'll stay. And then I tried to hide my tears, and he saw me, and it was kind of like a little back and forth. And he feels like I'm being pushy. And
all right, we got it. We got the picture, Jessica. And it is a tough situation. We've only got a few minutes left. So let's hear what Alice and Jill have to say.
Well, and Jessica, I'm wondering why this is a boyfriend, right? Not someone you are engaged to or married to. And so I'm wondering why.
But a very serious relationship.
Oh, okay. I'm wondering why you wouldn't go ahead and go to your family without him.
I did on Christmas.
Okay. And even Thanksgiving. And it's interesting because he seems to be holding on to this, even though your sister, it has, really, it wasn't personal towards him. Has your sister reached out to him at all with this being such a serious relationship?
No.
Okay.
My sister is just as stubborn. Why should I have to say I'm sorry or anything?
And Jessica, do you see in him avoidant tendencies in general, apart from just your sister?
Somewhat, yes. If things are difficult, he tends to avoid the run a bit. And there are people in his own family that he has trouble with, so he just doesn't have anything to do with them.
And when you have pointed out his general avoidance and asked if he's willing to get help about it, how has he responded?
Oh, he would never. He doesn't think he's wrong. He thinks that it's teaching them a lesson, and that I'm not being true to myself, because I told him, I said, well, Jesus said it's easy to lay down your life for a friend, but an enemy, that's when it becomes hard, and that's when we need to show the love of Christ. But then he thinks I'm being holier than thou or something. I don't know, maybe.
So Jessica, this is much bigger than just the situation with your sister. And you'll need to decide, are you willing to continue getting into a more serious relationship with a man who has decided he's right about this and he's not willing to change? Now, perhaps if you bring to light that it is a bigger deal for you than perhaps you've addressed before, such as, I love you, I care for you, I want this relationship to continue. We need to get a little help, though, so that we don't keep hitting up against situations where there's avoidance. Would you be willing to come with me to address this with a therapist? How do you think he'd respond to that? Would he give a flat-out no because he thinks he's right?
I think it's too early for that. If we have talked about the future, and if we got married, I think that would be a good time, but I think that it would not be.
Are you
well, I think, Jessica, this needs to happen before you would consider getting married. Because once you are like in that engagement process, it's hard to reel it back when you've kind of put your hope. And I have a feeling, Jessica, you're kind of the person maybe in your family and with your boyfriend that just kind of takes what other people dish out. You've got strong personalities and you seem to maybe want to keep the peace a little bit.
And here's the thing. And
in the family, I am the peacemaker of the family.
There you go.
Right.
You're actually the peacekeeper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and I think in keeping the peace for
what's going to happen?
Keeping the peace today may not fare well for you down the road. Because basically you're allowing him to continue in these behaviors. And I have a feeling he is actually ultra sensitive and gets hurt easily. So when somebody looks at him cross-eyed, then he just writes them off. And that, I worry about that pattern for you in a partner.
So as we close this call, Jessica, we're going to pray for you. But I also think, there are some things that you need to look at sooner than later. Time is of the essence, even on this New Year's Eve. And we'll send you a copy of How We Love. Thank you all for listening this year. Hope we'll see you next year. And God bless your New Year's. We appreciate you so much for tuning in. And if we can help in any way, just give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We are there for you. Thanks, Jill. Thanks, Alice. Happy New Year.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but But you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.